What's popping, gamers? Magina the Anti-Mage is a human and, as the name suggests, is set out to end all magic. His hate for anything unnatural and associated with the arcane arts stems from when he in his youth witnessed the slaughter brought on by the dead god's legion. Anti-Mage was a pilgrim who had been an acolyte at the mountain monastery of Turstarkuri, where he had served the meditating monks' tea. So dedicated were they to their meditation that they didn't budge as the undead army invaded the lower kingdoms. The few who did stop to open their eyes ignored the assault, since they thought they were just hallucinating. Magina watched as they were all slewn where they sat, and then rose again to the dirge song as new members of the dead god's army. Anti-Mage was the only survivor, and escaped with only a few scrolls and a burning hatred for the dead god and all magic users. He still has haunting visions of the monks, because of his shame that he was the single survivor. He vowed to not rest until magic users were all obliterated, and thus the Anti-Mage was born. The dead god, for those who don't know, is one of the many deities in the Dota universe. He raises the dead with his dirge song, and they mindlessly fight for him in huge, endless hordes. Basically, imagine the Night King and the White Walkers from Game of Thrones. The Chains of Obsession, which you may recognize from Pudge's Arcana, is a weapon so powerful it's basically sentient. It has been corrupted by the dead god and fallen into Pudge's hands, and has a desire to take down Anti-Mage. From the Turstarkuri monk scrolls, Magina has learned techniques that makes him resistant to magic by literally hardening his skin. He has also gathered some passages from the Tal Am, which is a text that Anti-Mage's identity seems very inspired by, both his actions and his way of speaking. This could be the very texts he brought from Turstarkuri. He has since the incident went on adventures to many places. He has joined the High Sand Nomads, a tribe in the desert, and helped the kingdom Yosgreth with getting rid of a sorcerer called Sask. Other evil magicians he has dealt with is Hroth the Anvil Magus, who was possessed by an iron shell, and Throsho, a shapeshifter. Throsho took the form of a demon, so terrifying that anyone who looked upon him had their minds shattered, which he used to intimidate people into worshipping him. Anti-Mage covered his eyes and slew Throsho, which could also be a reference to Anti-Mage's Dota 1 model, which was blind. He has also joined the Tyler Estate, which is an institution that hunts down and punishes dark magic abusers. Anti-Mage seems incredibly vain, which is ironic considering how otherwise ascetic he is. He often wears eccentric clothing and hairstyles, and let's be honest, his way of speaking is a little bit pretentious. Die and thee and thou and all that. Anti-Mage is featured in the comic A Dark Purpose Served, which is quite infamous. You pretty much either love it or hate it. It's about Anti-Mage and Windranger who fight the dead god, but I'm pretty sure it has been retconned, correct me if I'm wrong. I of course is in the camp that loves it, and the bad aspects of it only improves it in my opinion. The art style is cool, and the use of voice lines as their dialogue is really funny. In Artifact, Anti-Mage is not a hero of his own, but he is featured in the story and on some of the card's artwork. Most of this is about the Tyler Estate and Weeping Rose. He is seen kicking Rubik, and we know he is hunting down Lion. In Underlords, we know that he is also tracking down Turath, one of the new characters. We don't know much about Turath yet, other than that he is a magic abuser who has escaped from the Tyler Estate. In Dota 1, Magina the Anti-Mage and Terrorblade were twin brothers gifted with each their special power. But Terrorblade chose the dark side, and so Anti-Mage tried to save him. They both used the model of Illidan Stormrage, who in Warcraft 3 was blind. That's why Anti-Mage was also blind in Dota 1. Also fun fact, while Anti-Mage and Terrorblade are certainly not brothers in Dota 2 now, Valve probably originally intended them to be. But for some reason, they decided to move away from this at Terrorblade's release, and the voice lines between them is now unused. Otherwise, there's not much interesting going on in Magina's life in the social department. The regular Dark Willow, Monkey King and Pangolier has some voice lines with him, but nothing out of the ordinary for them. Monkey King calls him a hypocrite, Dark Willow is basically wagey shaming him, and Pangolier thinks he's a bit stuck up. The only friend he seems to have is Silencer, who I will come back to. His enemies are far more numerous, and the most noteworthy ones are Quap, Rubik, Shadow Demon, and Pugna. There's also a popular romantic shipping of Anti-Mage and Templar Assassin, but this has no evidence or canonical basis at all. It's just cute. Oracle says about Anti-Mage, I foresee an end to magic. Your end in particular. And I honestly don't know how to interpret this. Either that Anti-Mage will not succeed until everything is destroyed, or that if he would ever succeed, it would be his end, as he would lose his purpose. It could also be because Magina being a hypocrite is mentioned a few times in voice lines, and maybe Oracle is low-key criticizing Anti-Mage for himself using magic, so Anti-Mage's end is also an end to his own magic? Honestly, no clue. Let me know if you have an idea. So for this video's elaboration part, I've decided to expand upon the Tyler estate. In the Dota world as a whole, it is the Sapphire Conclave that is the authority when it comes to magic usage. If you partake in forbidden sorcery or commit a crime, you will be held at the Sapphire Conclave's mercy. Crystal Maiden has worked with them, and she is the guardian of Icerack. And the Sapphire Archons are the absolute authority in all of the magic world, except for Weeping Rose. Weeping Rose is a place where all the rules of the outside don't apply, and they govern themselves. The government is the Quorum, a senate of 31 wizards. You find the Burnt Hall in Weeping Rose, where powerful and cursed artifacts are kept, such as the Apotheosis Blade, which is very similar to Doom's Blade. Weeping Rose seems like the mecca of magic, as they don't have a lot of rules, and it's always nighttime so they can utilize the powers of the stars. For example, no kind of magic is forbidden, even the dark and evil kind. But while the rules are few, they are very strict, and if not obeyed, you will be sent to the fright-inducing Tyler estate. It collaborates with the Quorum to ensure that there is no chaos and order is kept. If you're irresponsible, you might end up at the mercy of Silencer, Anti-Mage, and Vutajo, who are among the employees of the Tyler estate. Silencer is the warden, and he was the one who sought out and hired Anti-Mage. He seems very unsympathetic with the wizards brought in though, as he doesn't even care to hear their stories before punishing them without mercy and individual consideration. Vutajo is a censor, so probably like a prison guard, and Anti-Mage seems like he's basically a cop, hunting down the criminals. Being a Tyler estate prisoner seems like no joke, as most of the time you're there for life, and the few cases where someone is let out, they are irrevocably changed. Lion is hunted by Anti-Mage, so he is trying to find the emissary of the Quorum, so he can through her try to get asylum in Weeping Rose. This will be difficult as long as he's on Tyler estate's hit list, and he's kind of in a hurry since basically everyone wants him dead. He's negotiating that he can be useful to Silencer, and that he wishes to be a friend of the Tyler estate. Pugna is not being pursued by the Tyler estate to my knowledge, but he hates the institution nonetheless. He wants to burn it down, demonstratively against what he considers them being too tyrannical in their control of magic users. He truly is the anti-Anti-Mage, as he has said in a voice line to Anti-Mage in Dota 2. And lastly, Dark Willow is in Dota 2, concerned about being taken there. Why and what she did to fear this is unknown, but it might have to do with theft. Maybe the Apotheosis Blade, which is kept in the Burnt Hall in Weeping Rose, which Dark Willow has talked about stealing. So long story short, the Tyler estate is a prison within Weeping Rose for evil wizards, and Anti-Mage hunts down those who the Quorum deem as criminals. So that's it for this hero lore, gamers. There was unfortunately not a lot to say about the Anti-Mage. His name pretty much summarizes everything about him. Don't get me wrong, I love him and think he's an amazing character, especially since Valve managed to squeeze him into both the Dead God and Weeping Rose story, and he is one of my favorite heroes to play in Dota 2. But there just wasn't much to say about him. The next hero that's up though, Arc Warden, I do have a lot to say about, so I hope to see you around on Thursday. Until then, keep being epic. Peace.